Hey guys, guess what time it is? It's cookie season. I'm Ella here, your favorite Girl Scout, and we have your oldies but goodies. Lemonades, dimmits, peanut butter sandwiches, and more. This year we have a new cookie flavor called the Explore Mug. My goal is 200 boxes, so please make that happen. You're gonna buy cookies anyway, so why not buy them from me?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for January 21st, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy hump day to everyone out there. Very special happy birthday to my mom, Karen, who does listen every day. Love you, Mom. If you see my mom out there anywhere or are friends with her on her social media, wish her a very happy birthday. All right, not a whole lot of Eagles news today, and I think we've finally reached the part of the season where, as much as it pains me, rather than force things, this might be the last day we do Eagles news unless there's something big that comes up. But Mike McDaniel appears anyway to be going to the Chargers to be their offensive coordinator. Kind of an interesting fit with Jim Harbaugh. As a Michigan fan, I kind of know a lot about how Jim likes to run the offense. And it should be good because he is known for the explosive pass plays, but is mostly a run first. It should be good to see what Mike McDaniel can do with Justin Herbert out there. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of Eagles news, which could be good. We could do what everybody else does and just keep rehashing the same thing. But I think for the sake of your sanity, my sanity, we're going to kind of put a pin in Eagles talk until there is something to talk about. The official, this has been out, but officially who the Eagles play home and away came out, and being a first place team, they have another tough schedule. So that, I think at this point, it doesn't matter. I said it and I stood by it, and I'll continue to stand by it. The only team that really, I think with the talent out, teams are catching up, especially in the NFC East. But I think the Eagles are their own worst enemy sometimes. So put whoever's on the schedule out. I'm not going to, I feel like this is a more new thing that happens in the NFL. I don't ever remember as a kid being like, oh no, the Eagles have to play the Houston Oilers. No, like it just was like, okay, cool. We get to see Warren Moon this year. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Obviously, we will break down the wins and losses once the schedule officially releases. But hey, man, it is what it is. But that's really it. And I think, like I said, this will be the last time unless there is something newsworthy, much like I did with the Phillies. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on rumors. We'll save that for the Brotherly Birds breakdown, which the newest episode is still out and available. We kind of look ahead and do some post-mortem on the Eagles season, as well as looking ahead to some free agents and things like that. We will be taking a brief hiatus. We'll be back Super Bowl week to kind of update you on everything Eagles, and then take a look at the big game. And then we'll probably still working out the final, what it's going to look like, whether it's every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, once a month. But we will continue through the off season with the Brotherly Birds breakdown, available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. To the hardwood. Sixers, tough loss yesterday, 116-110 to the Suns. No Joe, no Paul George. Really not a big problem until that third quarter. I was watching this game, and they kind of fell apart in the third quarter, put themselves in a hole in the fourth. Were able to come back. They made it close at the end. They had some chances, but the shots just didn't fall. My son woke up, well, never went to bed. Uh, Long story short, supposed to be doing a book report that's due at the end of the month. It's 3 chapters in and was like, I know enough to fill out the book report. I'm like, no. So we made him read some chapters last night, but then he came down, said he was done, and was like, there was 9 minutes left in the game, wanted to watch the game. We watched it, and it was a good learning lesson for him. He starting to really come into his own in basketball, but man, they had some shots. Tyrese Maxey missed a couple shots late. Some silly errors. Dembona caught a rebound but stepped on the line. But my takeaway from the 116-110 loss is, one, Dembona is a dog. I don't know if he can keep up the pace he plays at for a full 48-minute game, but in spurts, man, that dude's all over the place. And the Sixers actually have a pretty solid defense. They came up with some very, very timely steals in that fourth quarter, but they came out on the losing end. It was the second half of a back-to-back. I commend them for actually putting in that effort in the fourth quarter, where a lot of times you see teams start to pack it in and just look ahead to their day off. But VJ Edgecombe also is a stud, had 25. Tyrese did have 20. But again, they had their opportunities, just could not do it. In a little bit of a slump right now, losing 4 of 6. Hopefully they get back on the right track Thursday at the X against the Rockets. And it did come out yesterday, too. I felt this was newsworthy because I had a conversation with my daughter driving her home from basketball practice, or driving to, either way. But Tyrese Maxey will be getting a signature shoe from New Balance. You might have seen him in the commercials the past year or two. But pretty cool idea, or pretty cool thing for Tyrese, who just got voted starter for the All-Star. And I don't know, it's always pretty cool. And then we went through the conversation of who is sponsored by who. But Sixers lose 116-110 to the Phoenix Suns. Flyers are out in Utah tonight in Salt Lake City, looking to build upon their win against Vegas the other night. And then yesterday's trivia question, I asked who were the players on the Super Bowl 52 winning team that were drafted by Andy Reid. That would be Jason Kelce, Vinnie Curry, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Brent Selleck, Nick Foles, who actually left and came back, and Michael Kendricks was the one that tripped everyone up. No Phillies this year going into the Hall of Fame. Chase Utley was their top getter. Huge jump this year for him. Likely, the belief is he will eventually get in. J-Roll and Cole Hamels will stay on the ballot as well. My boy John Foley made a very compelling argument for Cole Hamels to be inducted. So looking forward to these guys that we enjoyed in that 2008 season starting to get their accolades and everything. All right, some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all social media at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. I mentioned the Brotherly Birds breakdown. And of course, we are proud members here at this day in Philly sports history of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com for details on how you can join and what they have to offer. Reppin' Philly ain't a choice. It's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one-stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh. Stay Philly. Philly Goat. Go Birds. All right, January 21st. Again, we're in that time where there's not a whole lot going on, but we have some great events that happened today. First, we're going to go back to 1958. And on this day in 1958, hoping to grow a fan base in all places, New York City, the Phillies made some major moves this day. The Giants and the Dodgers had just left to go to California from New York, leaving only the Yankees as the Major League Baseball representative in the city of New York. So thinking that there was a chance to grow the fan base for a National League team, Bob Carpenter worked out a deal with WOR, which was the Dodgers TV network, to broadcast 78 Phillies games in the New York viewing area. And The Cardinals and Pirates also had similar deals, but for far less games. But Bob Carpenter was like, hey, why not grow the fan base up in New York? Of course, though, the Yankees yankied and threatened to go national. They had the Milwaukee Braves on board as well, which, again, two teams that really, to this day, are national brands. But they threatened to go national and not show any games in New York, which led to pressure on the Phillies. Ultimately, the one-year experiment only lasted for the 1958 season. And then, of course, a few years later, the New York Mets came into existence. But I guess the joke was on New York because they retreated to 78 games of the Phillies during a 68 and 95 or 69 and 85 last place season finish for the Phils. So, one-year deal. The Phillies were the National League representative on New York TV in 1958. Fast forward to 1997, Flyers and the Stars skated to a 3-3 tie at the Coors State Center. Paul Coffey assisted on goals by Dale Hawerchuk and John LeClaire, giving him 1,050 for his career, passing Gordie Howe for second place on the NHL all-time assist list behind the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Paul is currently number 6 on the all-time assist list, but that does lead us to today's trivia question. Who is the Flyers' all-time leader in assists? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Get that answer in and anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. And then we're going to fast forward to 2018, Eagles and Vikings in the NFC Championship game. And this was a great game, fun game to be at. It was tied midway through the first quarter when Patrick Robinson intercepted Case Keenum, took it to the house for 50 yards, and then the floodgates opened. Eagles led it 24-7 at halftime. Nick Foles had 41-yard pass to Torrey Smith on a flea flicker. Then, of course, there was the long bomb to Alshon Jeffrey, who caught 2 touchdown passes. But it was a weird feeling being in the stands in the third quarter, knowing that you're going to the Super Bowl. It was definitely a party-like atmosphere up in the link. Eagles fans famously started doing the Foles chant, mimicking the Vikings skull chant. Just a lot of fun to be in that game. Nick ended up with 352 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defense forced 3 turnovers, setting up a rematch of Super Bowl 39 with the Patriots. And of course, we all know how that played out. And then 5 years later, 2023, it was the divisional round versus the Giants. Same exact score, 38-7. Jalen Hurts scored 3 first half touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. Eagles were up 28-0 in the half and cruised to that 38-7 win. Moving on to the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, Kenny Gainwell and Giant Killer Boston Scott also scored for the Eagles, as this is when people say, oh, well, they didn't play anybody. Well, they did. And 2018, 2025, Eagles in the playoffs, winning 38-7. 2018, they went to the went to the Super Bowl. 2023, they went to the NFC Championship. All right, it is Wednesday. Time for a little What If Wednesday, brought to you by Lotwin. Go to lotwin.com for your 3D custom hype chains. These things are awesome. Got one for my son. Still waiting on picking up my one for winning the Clashing Conferences Fantasy Football League. But go to Lotwin, use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off your orders. Things make great gifts for youth sports. If you're still looking for something for your fantasy football winners and losers, they'll work with you on that as well. All right, so sticking with the Sixers theme today, and despite the fact they've lost 4 of 6, the Sixers have been playing pretty well. They're a fun team, and really, Joel Embiid has been playing very, very well. And so for this What If Wednesday, what if Joe actually goes into the playoffs healthy? They're sticking very strongly and consistently to their load management and things like that. Can they actually make some noise this year in the playoffs? Can they get past the second round for the first time? And if there's ever a year to do it, this is the year to do it. The East is wide open. You have Tyrese Maxey playing at an elite level. You have VJ Edgecombe, who certainly is in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. It's probably going to go to Cooper Flagg, but VJ showing that he was the clear number 2 guy right now in that draft. Paul George contributing. If they can figure out the rotation with Jarrett McCain, they also have some players as the trade deadline approaches that they could upgrade or even position themselves for a more sustained run. But right now in the East, you have the Knicks getting booed on their home court on MLK Day for their performance. You have Boston, who's playing decent, very well. Brown is playing at an MVP type level. Jason Tatum likely is coming back this year, so Boston is going to be someone to worry about. You got the Pistons, who are playing extremely well. And then you got like the Raptors, the Sixers, Magic, Cavs, and even the Heat kind of all bunched together. So it is wide open. Could they make some noise? Is this just me getting tricked like Lucy with the football with Charlie Brown again? I don't know. I think if Joe can continue to play and stay healthy and they manage it the right way, Sixers could actually make some noise. But what are your thoughts? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Am I being crazy? Do the Sixers have a shot? Or are you just like wake me up when pitchers and catchers report? But 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right. And then finally today, turning the page, the events that changed the course of Philly sports history forever. We've been having some fun with this, and I have to admit, I went out of order the other day, not on purpose, but just because of the way my nose, I read it wrong, didn't have my glasses on. But today we're going to go back to 2008, and the time and the event is the Phillies winning the World Series in 2008. We're not losers anymore. We had to do it the hard way in true Philly fashion, waiting the long delay in Game 5. But we talked about the curse of Billy Penn the other day. That curse not only was lifted, but for the first time since 1983, a Philadelphia team won a championship. And that team was so much fun, captivated the whole area all summer. Red October was in full effect. So many good games during that run. So many likable players. Just so much fun to be a part of. And again, for someone like me who grew up with a lot of our teams in all sports being second tier organizations, to be the champion and to be able to go to a championship parade, that was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful Halloween day. And it just certainly changed the narrative around Philly sports, because we believe the Phillies actually became sort of the team in Major League Baseball for the next 3 or 4 years. You had the Eagles then, after the Phillies won the World Series, making that magical run to the NFC Championship game. Started to believe in the Sixers. This is around the time they were in the NBA purgatory, but they had some good players. But it just really, again, changed the entire narrative of Philly sports. And for the psyche of Philly fans, more so than anything, I said it earlier, but we're not losers anymore. Like, to be able to celebrate a championship was the greatest feeling. And just like anything that people get addicted to, we were all addicted, and still to this day. And that's why the national media, I don't think, understands why, after a division-winning season, 11-win season, our 5th straight 11-win season, why Eagles fans are so like, we need to do this, we need to do that. It's because we want to continue to win. We've won 2 Super Bowls since the Phillies opened up those gates back in 2008. And we want more. And that's why everybody was so disappointed with the way the Bo Bichette thing. And again, nothing against JT Realmuto. We kind of want it like the way the Mets are making moves, the way the Dodgers are making moves, the way the Cubs are even making moves. We're not doing that. So I think it changed our whole outlook as fans, because I talk all the time about new Philly and old Philly. And yes, we're in a very old Philly state of mind right now after the way the Eagles season ended. But in new Philly, we expect championships and want them. Prior to the Phillies winning in 2008, it was more, let's hope. Wait till next year. We could get lucky if things break this way. Now we're like, no, it's championship or bust, and we're not going to be happy if it's not a championship, which I also think plays into why there's so much apathy with the Sixers, who legitimately, all Lucy with the football things aside, legitimately have to be considered as a dark horse contender in the East this year, especially the way that they've been playing, and if they ever just get it together. But I do think that plays into the apathy. But the Phillies winning in 2008 is the event that changed Philadelphia sports forever, because it kind of made us realize, hey, we're also a legitimate sports city as well. On this day in 2023, Eagles beat the Giants 38-7 in the divisional round. Jalen Hurts with 3 touchdowns in the first half. Eagles cruised after going up 28-0 at halftime. 2018, it was a Nick Foles coming out party, giving a glimpse of what was to come in Super Bowl 52 as the Eagles beat the Vikings 38-7 in the NFC Championship game to move on to face the Patriots in a rematch of Super Bowl 39. Paul Coffey moved into second place all-time on the NHL all-time assist list with a 2-assist night and a 3-3 tie against the Stars. And in 1958, Bob Carpenter, owner of the Phillies, worked out a deal to broadcast 78 Phillies games in the New York viewing area to kind of help fill the National League void that was left when the Giants and Dodgers moved to New York. But the Yankees, of course, had other ideas. We'll have more on the Flyers and the Mammoth game tomorrow on the podcast. If there are any Eagles updates, we will give them, but we're kind of closing the book now on the 2025 season and starting to look ahead. Always a sad day when we kind of move on. It was the same way with the Phillies, where we did about a week or so. Eagles, of course, we went a little bit further, but as Porky Pig would say, that's all, folks. So stay tuned for any kind of news, I guess. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for January 21st, 2026. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a hump day. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.